A teenage girl, Aya, is left alone in a hostel-like dormitory at night. She hears giggles in the hallway, high-pitched, childlike, wrong. When she peeks outside, she sees Labubu, a small, wide-eyed creature with sharp teeth and a playful grin, holding a balloon. It waves and, "Come play." Aya hated being the last one awake. By day, the hostel was a shoebox orchestra, doors slamming on syncopation, noodles boiling, laughter leaking from rooms. The stairwell carried every conversation the way a shell carries the sea. You could measure time by the squeak of sneakers and the hiss of showers. But now, the lights over her bunk hummed like tired bees, and the building practiced the language of old pipes. The hallway outside her door stretched longer than it should, like a story a friend keeps promising to finish. Her roommate was home for the weekend. The third-floor group chat had gone silent. Even her phone stopped pretending there was something new to scroll. She tried to sleep, to count her breath the way the meditation video had taught. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. But counting in the dark felt like writing numbers on water. That's when she heard it. A giggle. Not laughter, not joy. Giggling. High-pitched, breathy, like a secret told to its own echo. It skittered down the hall, then hid, then came back closer, as if practicing how to arrive. Aya froze, thumb pausing over the screen. Reflex turned her volume to 0. The giggle returned, twice, nearer, and then nothing. Silence sat back down and pretended it hadn't moved. She told herself it was a video from someone's room. She told herself lots of things that sounded like adults, but the hairs along her arms held their own meeting and voted no. She slipped off the bunk, toes finding the cold spot in the floorboards. The doorknob felt cooler than it had any right to be. She cracked the door. The hallway blinked in tired fluorescence. Paint peeled like old bandages. A communal calendar drooped under a thumbtack. Far down the corridor, near the fire door, a red balloon floated, tied to nothing. It bobbed once, then a small figure stepped from the dim like a punchline no one had asked for. Big round eyes, tall rabbit-like ears, a grin too full of small sharp teeth. Its skin looked like paper that had forgotten how to fold. Its head tilted sharply, as if the neck were remembering a decision it regretted. It waved with 2 delicate clawed fingers and whispered, as if the building had learned to speak. "Come play." Aya yanked the door in, instinct, muscle, animal. But the hinges stuck halfway like a mouth not finished with its sentence. She turned to retreat, to bury herself in duvet and pretend to be ancient and asleep, but the room behind her had gone dark. Not lights off dark, a thick dark, a no features dark, as if someone had painted over the inside of the door with night. She stepped into the hall because forward was the only direction left. The thing, Labubu, her mind gave it a name as if naming were control, bounced backward, balloon bobbing. With every bounce, the ceiling lights flickered in a pattern she could not keep up with. Cold air breathed from the vents like a refrigerator learning to be a storm. Aya's footsteps sounded too loud for one person. The corridor smelled faintly of chalk dust and something sweet, like candy you can't place. That's when she saw the walls. Not posters, not flyers. Drawings. Crude stick figures of children, heads too big, bodies like lines that changed their mind. Every figure had X's scrawled over the eyes. Beneath each, a name in a jagged child hand. Maya, Kenji, Talia, Zeke. 100 little roll calls of almosts. She touched a name. Chalk smeared her fingertip fresh. Labubu clapped quietly, delighted. It hopped once, and something clicked against the floor. A spinning top, wooden, chipped at the hip like it had danced too long. It spun weakly, wobbled, fell. The fall made a tired sound. Aya picked it up. Warm. Too warm. The instant her skin met the wood, her chest tightened like a belt had cinched inside her ribs. She dropped it. The weight stayed. Good, Labubu giggles, voice friction soft. Keep going. It skipped farther, leaving a breadcrumb trail of toys. A cloudy marble that felt like a bad memory. A teeny plastic ring with a carnival prize's confidence. A stuffed rabbit whose seams smiled open along one side. Aya gathered them, not knowing why. Pockets filling, shoulders hunching under a heaviness that wasn't weight but acted like it. At the corner, the corridor broke its promise and looped. She turned back, found herself walking forward again. She tried the fire door, its bar pressed without noise, and then decided pressure was an opinion. Emergency maps, in case of fire do not use elevator, stared at her with the patient boldness of rules that knew they were alone. The giggle always sounded just ahead, the balloon bobbing like a lighthouse with a sense of humor. The drawings multiplied. Some looked weeks old, some still powdered the air. Some names she recognized, girls from first year who'd moved out, a boy who'd cried in the stairwell once. And she told herself, coincidence is a shape the mind makes to sit in. It didn't feel like that shape. The chalk lines thickened near the end of the corridor, a riot of white scratches layered like conversations. There, on a door taller than the rest, names were carved hard into wood. Dozens of them, overlapping, repeated, one written over the other, like a teacher's wrong answer being corrected, and then wrong again. At the bottom, nearly swallowed by grain, A-Y-A. Unfinished. The last stroke missing, like someone had been interrupted or spared. Labubu arrived before the tall door and stilled. The balloon drifted down and hovered near its shoulder like a pet listening to weather. It held a piece of chalk in its pinched fingers and extended it toward her in offering like a priest with a tasting spoon. Finish it whispered. Behind the door, something breathed like sea in a shell. Then voices, thin, layered, wrong in chorus. A child's cry, another child's laughter. Then a dozen whispers fit themselves to her name, testing her syllables, equal parts invitation and appetite. Aya, Aya, Aya. She reached for the chalk. Her hand hovered, fingers trembling. The chalk's dust smelled like a schoolroom that had been closed too long. Her mouth had gone dry. Her tongue counted her teeth. The balloon rubbed lightly against the ceiling and made a sound like a sigh. She thought of her mother's note on her first day here. Call me when you can. She thought of the lie she'd told about loving the quiet. She thought of the way loneliness teaches you to become furniture. She pressed the chalk to wood. The final stroke waited, a small turn, a little tail to make the A belong to her. She stopped. "No," she said. It wasn't big or brave. It was a whisper that had done push-ups. "No, not mine." She let the chalk fall. Labubu's grin widened until it was almost a cut. One eye blinked slow, the other hurried to catch up. The balloon in its hand deflated without a sound, collapsing to wrinkles in its palm like fruit left too near a heater. Heat bloomed in her pockets. The toys burned, not flame, a hotness that made each seam argue. She clawed at her jeans. Gray ash spilled out, soft as a sigh, then thicker, clouding her ankles, rising. The drawings on the wall blurred behind it like faces you know at a distance. Hands pounded behind the tall door, small hands, too many. Some sliding down the wood, some tapping in little eager rhythms, some scratching, some trying politeness like a trick. Voices layered until language was just a surface they wore. Labubu leaned, teeth at her ear. "Then I'll finish it for you." The chalk moved by itself, scratching slow, deliberate, savoring the last mark of her name as if tasting it. Aya slapped her palm over the line and smeared it hard, breaking the letter into fragments, uneven white like torn snow. The door throbbed under her hand once, like a quiet heart deciding something, then steadied into stillness. Labubu hissed. The hiss had temperature. The balloon skin fluttered from its palm like petals and lay on the floor without memory. Its grin lost play and learned hunger. "The game isn't over," it said, and the corridor believed it. Aya stumbled away, ash ghosting her steps. She tried the stairwell, its metal handle warmed under her hand like breath, then cooled like an apology. Another hallway opened where stairs should be, identical to the one she'd left. Same peeling paint, same buzzy lights, same communal calendar insisting it was Wednesday in a voice too confident to fight. The red balloon, a new one, floated at the corner as if time had reheated. She ran once, twice, and learned the loop's lesson. Speed changes nothing. A door marked laundry led to a laundry room that was a hallway wearing different clothes. The vending machine kept offering C7 no matter what button she pressed. The machine didn't stock C7. The drawings changed. Before, crude, now busy. Stick figures gained hair. Some wore little dresses. Some held toys, just like the ones that had burned her pockets. Some faced away, heads cocked toward the door she avoided. An artist had gotten better while she watched. "Aya," the whispers said. Not chorus now, specific. A little girl's voice near her knee, a boy's voice halfway down, a teenager above her ear with bored vowels. "Aya, Aya." Her mother's voice entered the mix, precise as weekday lists. "Did you have dinner?" Her father's, thicker, careful not to scare fish. "Text me when you're in." Her roommate's laughter, lazy and kind. Her own voice, this part she hated, tempered to persuasion. "It's fine, just finish it. You're stuck otherwise. You know you're stuck." She pressed her palms against her ears. The sound slid in through her skin. A door marked "Common Room" gaped. She went in. Sofas slumped like bad posture. A TV offered a frozen cartoon frame where a rabbit smiled with too many teeth. On the bulletin board, photos of move-in day pinned with thumbtacks, armless, headless, where faces had been cut out. Her picture had a ragged oval where she should be. Names under the photos were written in chalk, not marker. Every chalk name had the eyes crossed. In the corner, a toy chest sat open. Inside, the top, the marble, the rabbit. 3 of each, then 4, then 5, if she stared. A paper crown lay on top. She lifted it. It weighed like a real crown, until she put it on, when it weighed like a decision. The relief that flowed through her shoulders almost made her cry. "Better?" Labubu said, perched on the couch back like a cat that had invented itself. The new balloon hung above it, string looped around a claw the way a child wears jewelry. "Keep the hat. It helps you listen." She took it off. The glitter flaked like dandruff. Listening was already too easy. On a low table lay a chessboard halfway through a game. All the pawns on her side were toppled. On the other side, a knight had been enlarged with chalk to cover 4 squares. The rules were a suggestion. She slid a bishop forward. It slid back by itself, politely refusing her idea. "Rules are how we keep score," Labubu mused. "Games are how we keep people." It hopped down, padded nearer than comfort. "We lack names. Names make doors open." "Not mine," Aya said. The sentence surprised her by stabilizing her feet. "We'll see," Labubu sang. It held the balloon string up to her. The latex swelled slightly, then exhaled, as if learning to breathe. "Want to hold it?" "No." "Good," it said, grinning. "Better game if you're stubborn." The toy chest creaked. A jack-in-the-box sat inside, handle angled. Aya stared. The box smiled with painted roses and a rabbit whose red grin reached its ears. The handle turned once on its own, metal pips whispering, stopped, waited, turned again as if warming its wrist. She shut the lid with her palm and felt something inside press back gently, politely, like a hand at a job interview. She ran. The hallway met her, another loop, new drawings. Now some figures had chalk balloons, some had paper hats. One had her bun exactly, hairline resurrected with fussy care. Beneath it, A-Y-A, spelled correctly. Finished. "What?" she gasped. Labubu clapped, delighted. "Fan art. They draw quick if they like you." She grabbed the chalk figure with both hands and smeared hard. The eyes remained X'd, no matter how she mangled the lines. The name wiped, returned, like a screen refusing to be cleared. Her chest ached, from running or from toys that were no longer in her pocket but still in her story. A door ahead stood open a sliver, white light pouring like spilled milk. She pushed. Inside, her room. Bedmaid, notes on the desk in her handwriting. A mug with the crack she knew. The crack had followed her from 2 apartments ago to keep her honest. Relief punched her so hard she had to lean on the jamb. She went in, closed the door, locked it, breathed. 1, 2, 3, 4, like the video. The mirror above the desk reflected a girl with smudged chalk on her cheek and a crown's glitter in her hair roots. She wiped. The chalk moved to the mirror instead of off her face. She lay on the bed. The mattress held her exactly. Her pillow smelled like her. The hum above learned a gentler note. She swallowed sobs. She swallowed sobs she had decided not to owe to anyone. Sleep crept in and paused at the threshold like a neighbor who likes you. The door knocked, soft, polite. 3, then 3. exactly the way a lesson announces itself. Aya, her mother's voice said through wood, exact cadence, exact restraint. Open. It's late. You're scaring me. Aya sat up, listened to the breath under the words. It was too even. Aya, her own voice said beneath her mother's, a harmony built for tricking. Let me in. I know the way. She did not answer. The knob rotated a hair and then remembered its place. An envelope slit under the door, the far corner curling like a smile. She picked it up, plain white. Inside, the sentence typed in thick black, the silent deal font her series had taught viewers to fear. Do not answer. She placed it on the desk beside her cracked mug, like a graduation photo. The knock tried once more, then retired with dignity. The room exhaled. Sleep took her by the ankle and tugged her farther in. When she woke, the bed wasn't a bed. It was a couch in the common room wearing her sheets. The door was the tall door. Her desk was a vending machine that only sold C7. The envelope on the desk had turned to a folded paper crown. The crack in the mug had become a crack in the wall. Laughing rolled under the paint like mice. Labubu sat in her desk chair, which wasn't a chair anymore, but a stack of children's blocks spelling play in letters that didn't like one another. Welcome back, it chirped. Rested? Aya stood. The room resettled itself a few inches to the left. The air tasted like sugar burnt too long. She breathed through her mouth. Labubu padded closer, eyes widening with a theatrical innocence it had bought cheap at a store that sold lies. The door wants your name. Give it, and you walk through. There's a prize. It held up the balloon string and tugged. The balloon leaned toward her like a dog. What's the prize? Aya asked. She didn't care. She needed time to let terror argue itself small. Out, it said simply, and in the saying invented hunger in the air. You step through, home becomes true. The tall door pulsed once, faint. The names glowed. Aya began to restore itself without help. Labubu's voice softened into something that wore compassion's coat. It's lonely here, Aya. Don't you want the part where your mother folds laundry that smells like your house? Where your father pretends not to cry at commercials? Where your roommate snores and blames weather? Her phone buzzed in her pocket. No signal icon. Still, it hummed with a text itself. Where are you? Come home. The typing dots played peekaboo. The message never finished. Finish your name, Labubu coaxed, and finish your story. She thought of She Is Not Your Mother, of Do Not Answer the Door, of watchers who had learned to wait for the third beat. She thought of rules, the harmless kind that keep tea from spilling, the other kind that keep people from falling into doors. Games need rules, she said softly, or they're just cruelty rehearsals. Labubu's grin trimmed itself smaller, sharper. There are rules. I'm saying one out loud. Names open doors. Aya lifted the chalk. She drew not her own letter, but a line across AYA, striking it. A denial sign learned from stations and math class. The chalk squealed. The squeal went somewhere exactly behind her eyes and pride. Rude, Labubu murmured. The drawings on the walls turned their chalk heads to watch. One near the ceiling blinked, X's briefly uncrossing, then crossing again. From behind the door, her friend Sora's voice. Grin in it, tired under the grin. Come on, Aya. You always quit before the last step. Then Sora's cry, a sound Aya remembered from the day Sora broke her ankle. Exactly that octave, that defeated air. It wasn't Sora. But grief doesn't always need truth to practice. Aya pressed the chalk tip to the wood, hovering, left, right, almost finishing. The balloon leaned. Labubu held its breath for her. The corridor tilted, like the building wanted to watch closer. She drew a different mark, a box around all the names. A rectangle, 1 line, 2, 3, 4, containing them. She shaded the lines hard, making a frame. The voices within muted, like someone had put a pillow over a speaker. Not gone, contained. Labubu blinked, surprise cutting through performance. Clever, it said, and meant it. You read back. I don't finish what I didn't start, Aya said. She stepped away, the box holding quietly. You can keep my letters. You can't have me. Labubu cocked its head. We like you very much. Unsubscribe, Aya whispered, and smiled in a way that made her own knees steadier. For the first time, something close to irritation crossed the rubber of its face. Then we'll play a longer game. Aya blinked. A gull shrieked. No gulls lived near here, but the sound helped the light learn its job. Morning unrolled across the floor like wet silk. Her room door stood open. The hallway beyond was ordinary, scuffed baseboards, a broom forgot itself against a wall, someone's flip-flop orphaned near the stairs. A distant kettle argued with itself. Her chest hurt, the good kind, the post-run kind, or the bad kind, the nightmare kind, she couldn't tell yet. The ash was gone. Her pockets were empty. The smell of chalk persisted like a ghost that paid rent. On her nightstand, a red balloon floated, tied to nothing, hovering an inch from the wood. It occluded the light like a small eclipse. She reached out and touched the string where there was none. The balloon inhaled slightly, as if it had forgotten, then remembered how. She slid from bed. Her phone showed time that made sense. 4 new messages from her mother, 3 from a roommate. You alive? 1 from Sora. Dreamt of you last night, LMAO. Aya typed here, then deleted, then typed ya, then added, tell you later. She didn't send it. She didn't want to teach the world how to hold what had held her. She opened the door to the hall. Down the corridor, the communal calendar insisted it was Wednesday, in a chirp she now distrusted. From 3B, a boy coughed in a way that had nothing to do with ghosts. The day smelled like detergent and toast. 2 girls padded past in slippers, hair in messy intentions. One pointed at Aya's door, at the balloon, then looked away, as if she had nearly remembered something. Did you hear a kid last night? The other asked. The first shrugged a no she didn't own. From the stairwell, the building manager's voice bounced, cheerful and morning official, about pest control coming at 2. The word pest felt bland for certain kinds of night. Aya lifted the balloon and set it gently on the floor. It didn't rise. It didn't fall. It waited. On her desk lay a little line of chalk dust, shaped almost like a letter. She touched her pocket. Chalk. The stick itself, worn, real. Her name on the tall door had probably rewritten itself while she blinked. Names are stubborn. She turned the stick once between forefinger and thumb, saw her skin whiten, then brushed the dust into her palm and carried it to the window. She opened the pane. Outside, the street had already started narrating itself. Bus brakes, sss, a bike bell, apologizing, a dog asking its leash for better scheduling. She blew the dust into the light. It glittered. The glitter looked like the crowns. It fell. It chose its own pace. On her way out, she taped a note to her door for herself. If it giggles, don't go. If a door wants a name, don't feed it. If you must write, draw a box first. If you see a balloon, it's a sentencer. Count breaths, then count the locks. Read back. She added at the bottom, small. You have friends. Call one. She underlined call because calling is a way to make the world answer out loud. In the kitchen, Sora stood in socks, spoon and mug, spinning instant coffee into a whirlpool. You look like you did leg day in hell, Sora said, cheerful. Then, softer. You okay? Aya nodded in a way that said, ask later and thank you at the same time. Sora accepted that dual citizenship and held up a second mug like a marriage proposal to the morning. Aya took it. Steam fogged her lens of the day and then wiped itself. Do you ever hear at night? Neighbors, Sora said. Old pipes. My dreams are loud. A beat. Sometimes a kid, but that's just me being weird. She sipped. You? Aya breathed, counted, considered all the ways truth can be poison when the listener's throat isn't ready. Sometimes, she said, but it's quieter if you make rules. Sora grinned. Nerd. Reader, Aya corrected, and that word landed in her body like a clean stone on still water. Back in the room, the balloon had migrated, half a foot to the left, pretending it hadn't. On the nightstand, a plain white envelope lay with the innocent posture that always meant guilt. Aya opened it. Black letters, same patient font. When you can, help someone else read. She folded the paper, slid it into the back of her phone case, where love notes go when we need them to be near and quiet. In the hallway, someone cried softly into a call. No, I'm fine. I just want to come home. Aya stepped into the doorway, then stepped back. Not yet. Rules. Help when you can, hold their weight without giving back the chalk. She picked the balloon up again. It pulsed once in her palm, a small living period at the end of a sentence not yet written. She pressed the window open wider and tucked the balloon on the sill. It hovered, indecisive, then drifted outward on a wind that the forecast hadn't promised. It floated to the corner of the building and paused, listening, then vanished the way a memory does when you learn to keep it. Aya closed the window. The glass trembled like a reply. That night, very late, when the building had trained itself quiet again, someone giggled in a hallway a block away. A red balloon bobbed into a new frame. In a different town, in a different hostel where the paint peeled in other languages, a teenager sat up and listened to a silence practicing to be a door. In the corner of a room where corners like to practice being portals, a small creature with big eyes tilted its head and smiled with all its little sharp teeth. It held a piece of chalk. It held a string. Come play, Labubu whispered. And the building, which had heard this line before, leaned forward to hear how the new reader would answer. You've only seen one part of the game. The next story is already waiting in the dark. If you don't want to miss it, subscribe now and step with us into the next nightmare.